Welcome to Conversations on Nationalist Hub. Our soldiers are the bulwark of our security. They are at our borders, they are at our seas, and of course in the air. They are everywhere. They protect us so that we can sleep peacefully in the night. The Indian civilians often have a kind of a different image of what an Indian soldier is, an armed forces soldier. I'm not just talking of the army, but other wings of it. There's a romance in the Air Force with the beautiful jet aircraft. There is a Navy which has a different feel and kind of it. And of course the armed forces, which is considered as a rough and tough part of the job. But quite often, in the middle of all this, we get to hear news somewhere in Kashmir or somewhere else in the northeast of a soldier being killed or a couple of them being martyred. Then we forget about it. That news dies a natural death after a couple of days. The loss is only felt by the family and the unit of that soldier who laid down his life. And that is why there's a special day to remember these martyred soldiers across the nation. And that is the Armed Forces Flag Day, which is marked actually on 7th of December every year from 1949 onwards. And to speak about this and more, we have with us Col Umesh Gogte, retired, with us in our studios. Welcome to the show, Colonel.
Thank you. It's always an honor to come to the Nationalist Hub, and more so when I have a conversation with you.
Colonel, when we often hear, we see these kids standing by the roadside on the Armed Forces Special Day, or we see NCC cadets going to various offices and pinning this flag and of course getting a donation for that. People really don't understand what this is all about. Can you enumerate, can you tell us in detail about what is the Armed Forces Flag Day all about and why does it need to be observed every year?
Right. Way back, as you had correctly mentioned, 1949. So during that time, Sardar Baldev Singh Chokkar, he was the defense minister. He was the very first defense minister of our country. And before the independence, he had worked with Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel very closely. And having been a defense minister, the very first defense minister, he had faced a lot of challenges. The very first war of 1947-48. After that, the Junagadh got merged with our country, and also the Nizam's merger.
Hyderabad state.
Yes. Probably that brought him very close to the armed forces. And Sardar Baldev Singh, he decided to celebrate 7th of December as the Flag Day. And that is how it began. Every year, this is celebrated because to show the solidarity towards the people in service who are martyred and the family of these people. There are various implications of this, and one of that is the fund collection, as you rightly said, that children, they stand at the crossroads, or NCC cadets, they stand, or even sometimes the police, so traffic police inspectors also collect this fund. Okay, the funds are distributed for various purposes. Number one is to implement the welfare scheme for those who are, for the families of those who are martyred in this operation. Secondly, those who get disabled, for them also this fund is distributed. Then for the welfare of serving soldiers and their families, and for the welfare of those who have retired and their families. Very recently, there was certain category of ex-servicemen who do not get pension. Even those people have got included in this.
Okay.
So just to give some statistics, approximately there are 31 lakh retired soldiers, which also include about 6 lakhs plus widows. And more or less every year about 60,000 retired service personnel, they join in this. So yes, this is for that. Basically this army doesn't celebrate this 7th of December to expect people to just monetarily contribute. But we expect that the people should get this awareness that the contribution made by the soldiers and their families and the regiments towards protecting the nation. And to build that solidarity, we feel that all should stand together on at least one day, that is 7th of December.
Because I think quite often there is a wide gap about understanding of what the armed forces life is all about in the eyes of a civilian and what actually happens. Because quite often they really don't get to see the close quarters of how the army life is all about. For example, there may be officers and men who are posted in the forward locations and whose families are staying back at the base locations, and how they are taken care of, how their canteen facilities are provided for them, how their orderly support is given to them. Schools, everything is kind of so that the soldier has a mental peace saying that his family is taken care of. That is when he's alive. But he also knows that when he passes away or he's martyred in action or otherwise, that his family will still be taken care of. Is that something that the Armed Forces Flag Day actually brings forth?
Yeah, to some extent, yes. As you said that regarding the martyr, I personally feel that there are about 4 entities which play a very crucial role or in the contribution of the martyr. The very first is the regiment to which the soldier belongs, his commanding officer, of course the soldier himself, and his family. I'm not putting it in any sequence. As per me, all have the same priority. So to put it in some order, I would feel that how the commanding officer is responsible for the contribution, the supreme sacrifice made by the soldier. For this, I would like to quote few examples here and there. And particularly, most of the viewers must be knowing about the recent war, that is Kargil war. It is very interesting to know that how the Kargil war started. There was one shepherd whose name was Tashi Namgyal. He was actually looking for a lost yak, and he was moving closer towards the LOC. This shepherd was belonging to a village very close to Kargil. And as he was moving towards the LOC, at one point he saw people in strange clothes, and that too carrying weapons. And because he was from Kargil, he was knowing that Indian soldiers don't look like this, and Indian soldiers don't put on such kind of dress. So he stopped there and he observed, hey, what's going on. And after confirmation, instead of looking for his yak, he went to the closest army unit and he informed them. Having known this, the unit, the brigade, everybody got alerted. This was, I'm talking about 5th of May. So the 5th of May, 4th JAT, one of the battalions, it moved in the Kargil sector as a response to this shepherd's call. And they sent a patrol, you must be aware, Lieutenant Kalia, along with 5 men. They were sent on a patrol to just ascertain what this shepherd is saying. And unfortunately, on 14th, it was realized that there is no communication between the unit and Lieutenant Kalia and the men with him. That's the time the commanding officer, I'm particularly talking about the role of the commanding officer. The role of the commanding officer is to take care of every man, every soldier in his unit, every officer in his unit. And when certain things like this happens, it really works on his mind that my unit officer and the men along with him are missing.
I think a commanding officer quite often is like a father figure.
Absolutely.
In that particular, for the men under who he commands, actually, isn't
Absolutely. In fact, since you said father figure, now recently even women have started commanding. You can. So I would make it more gender neutral. Yeah. So I would say the person who is commanding. Yes, the person who is commanding is a father figure. So having lost contact with Kalia, he alerted the second line, that is Lieutenant Bharadwaj, and he sent a bigger force, about 30 men with him. And where they had last had the conversation, they moved towards them, toward that particular location. And Bharadwaj, as he was approaching somewhere closer to that, lot of firing came from the other side. And at one point of time, it was impossible for Bharadwaj and his men to even move an inch ahead. That is the time this young officer, Lieutenant Bharadwaj, he decided that the patrolling party should not proceed forward and rather go back to the unit and inform what is the exact situation. But as you know, in the mountains, and particularly I'm talking about May, in May also it's quite a severe winter in Kargil sector, and there is no vegetation, so there is no place to hide.
So you are exposed kind of.
You are absolutely exposed, and all these Pakis who were sitting on top of the hill, they could have a pot shot at you. So he, as an officer, he is responsible for the men he has taken with him. So he said that since the firing is on, I will hold the front, I will pin them down, I will fire at the bunkers which are firing at us, and all you go back to the unit and tell the commanding officer the situation. So the 28 men, they started descending down, and on and off Bharadwaj was coming out and firing at the Pakis bunkers, and in the exchange of fire, he was also getting hit, but he definitely killed 10 of the Paki soldiers. Only one Havaldar was with him, and continuously Bharadwaj was saying, you also go back, I will hold the post here. But Havaldar Rajveer of Orjat, he said, Saab, आपको छोड़ के मैं नहीं जाऊंगा, आप अकेले हैं, ये मुझे बर्दाश्त नहीं होता, जिएंगे दोनों जिएंगे, मरेंगे दोनों साथ मरेंगे. And unfortunately, both of them succumbed. And it was in the thick of the battle. The battle had not started. This was initial stages of battle, and both of them fell there, and their bodies were retrieved about 56 days later.
56 days.
Yeah, and when their bodies were found, both of them were clinging to their weapons and very close to each other, giving a sense that till the last moment they fought very bravely. So on the view file, I want to show the general area of Kargil. Approximately 25 kilometers the Pakis had occupied. And they had penetrated into our territory for about 10 kilometers. So if you look at the map, on the left-hand side where they had penetrated stands the Mashko Valley, and toward the right stands Dras. And all the heights were occupied by Pakistanis. And it was overlooking the road going from Zozila Pass up to the Kargil. So all the movement they were able to watch of the Indian.
So they could even see the trucks going past.
Absolutely.
And when you sit at a height, that obviously is a great advantage.
Absolutely. Very correctly said that Pakistanis were at a great advantage. And in addition to that, what they had done, they had stocked their ammunition very well. They had stocked their food and clothing for all the weathers. And they had fortified their bunkers so well that even if there is RT shelling, they could survive inside these bunkers. So looking at the overall situation, anybody who is entrenched so firmly at the high altitude is, as you have very rightly said, is at a distinct advantage. And the Indian army were the attackers. I mean, ironically, we were attacking in our own territory, and Pakis were sitting very pretty at the higher grounds. When the commanding officer assessed the situation, he realized that for tackling one Pakistani soldier, we approximately require 10 soldiers to handle him.
Because of the difference in height.
Because of the difference in height. And you have to go from the bottom to the top. And the visibility is absolutely clear for somebody who is sitting on the top. So the situation of the commanding officer, I would like to just share with you, that in this particular situation, it is very difficult for the commanding officer to tackle the complete control or take the complete situation under control. During the peacetime, it is the responsibility of the commanding officer to train every soldier on, and in every training area, in very, very big letters, it is displayed that more you sweat during peace, the less you bleed in war.
Yeah.
So the commanding officers, at many times, they are very ruthless as far as the training part is concerned. But in a situation like this, what I just narrated, the situation of the commanding officer is so precarious that now 2 of his officers are dead, and now he has to select the third party to go up. So who should be the leader? Who should not be the leader? Who will lead? And the men who are going to follow the leader, will they obey the orders of the leader? Of course, there is no situation wherein it has happened. But there should be some kind of a synergy between the soldiers and the officer who is leading them. So suppose like how the complete party of Lieutenant Kalia got butchered, Bharadwaj also got killed. So the next party has to be get readied. And for that, the unit commander has to give proper training. And that is what the commanding officer requested the higher formation to give him little time to get prepared for the eventuality. So the one part is the commanding officer. The second part, second entity, what we are talking about, the supreme sacrifice, the second entity is the regiment, that is the soldiers belonging to that regiment. The soldiers have to have the complete faith in the decisions taken by the commanding officer. If the commanding officer says that this particular mission will be led by so-and-so, they should have full faith in the leader of the mission. For every soldier in the Indian Army, let me tell you, for the benefit of the viewers, that more than them, the izzat of the unit is the supreme. And they will fight without, selflessly they will just fight for the izzat of the unit. And to obey the every command given by the leader and the commanding officer is very, very important. In that connection only, I was citing the example of Lieutenant Bharadwaj. When he told his 28 men to leave, they just left, knowing fully well, everybody was knowing that how can we leave our leader here, but they had to leave. So another difficult part when I'm coming back to the commanding officer, when such a situation happens that a soldier or an officer belonging to a unit is martyred, his body has to be sent back home. That is the most touching part for the regiment, for the commanding officer. Because when the body is flown, you must have seen it on televisions and
Yes.
the news channels, that the complete unit, complete village comes together. And those who are carrying the mortal remains, they have to face sometimes the wrath, sometimes the comments, sometimes the adverse comments also, but they have to maintain their calm. And the most touching part is when either the commanding officer or the person to hand over the body, particularly generally we hand over the uniform last worn by the man, by the soldier. And also when we take the body to the village, we wrap it with the national flag. So the national flag has to be folded in a particular fashion and to be handed over to the lady. So far, the family has been very, very brave. But looking into the eyes, suppose the flag is being handed over to the wife,
It's a very touching.
there are certain unsaid words that why didn't you go instead of sending my husband? Though never ever it has happened, but the eyes speak. Or if the flag has to be handed over to the mother, the expressions in the mother's eyes are, I handed over my boy to you, commanding officer. I thought you will take care of my boy. But what have you brought me back? So these are very, very...
War is a ruthless
war is the
thing,
ruthless.
because we all know that a soldier, when he signs up for their armed forces, be it anywhere in the world for that matter, they are prepared for the eventuality. The family also knows And it can be anywhere. It can be an Air Force pilot who takes
Yes.
off in the morning and his aircraft crashes and that's it.
Yes.
Or a naval soldier out in the sea who can fall prey to any of the accidents also that take place during the course.
Yeah.
Go on, sir.
Yeah. So the another factor which is very touchy for the commanding officer, as you rightly said, that he is a father figure. In most of the infantry units, it's a tradition that if somebody has to go for war or a very difficult mission, the commanding officer calls the leader and the complete team in his office and makes them write a letter to his loved ones. Because God forbid something goes drastically wrong, at least the letter should go home. And as you know, in Kargil war, 527 officers and soldiers did not return home, but their letters brought their feeling home for their families.
Colonel, one thing that I want to ask you in this context is, we saw in Kargil and later in other operations, Jammu Kashmir, there were colonels who died. You know, how did, I mean, usually it doesn't happen, isn't it?
It doesn't happen, yes.
Is it that urge that when my men are hit, I should be there, that takes them to the front, and unfortunate loss of lives that happened? A lot of them died
Colonel
in
Babu
Kargil.
is one.
Yeah, Sanjay Babu, I think
recent
Colonel
example.
Vishwanathan, I think
Colonel Vishwanathan,
a lot of
yes.
people died in that
Yes.
entire thing. So, is it a change in strategy during an ongoing war? He feels that I should also be there, but what happens at the back end, the operational end? That's a question that I had.
Very correct. I mean, the commanding officer is responsible for his complete battalion, and commanding officer himself, God forbid, he is martyred, then the whole unit has to be taken care by somebody else. Of course, there is always a second in command, but it is better that a commanding officer goes with the unit. If at all, the complete unit has to go on the mission. For small patrols or for small operations, it is better. He prefers to send a junior officer for the operation. So the one odd incidents which has happened, probably there must be some kind of a compulsion for the commanding officer to lead the forces himself, or probably everybody is out on some mission, so he had no other option than to lead himself. That could be. So I was talking about the letter to be written. In this connection, I just wanted to cite one example again, Kargil War. The unit, as I told you, have got very traditions like writing the letter. I'm talking about the 2nd Rajputana Rifles, a very decorated unit, which has contributed a huge deal as far as the Kargil War is concerned. So the 2nd Rajput was given a task, and 2nd Rajput, the CO, decided to send Captain Nebu Kengurse. Captain Nebu Kengurse, he is from Nagaland, and that's why the name is little different. And Captain Nebu was told by the CO that as I will be showing on the view file, Kargil War, Suresh, is the last war where the Jawans and officers must have written letters by hand. Nowadays the technology has changed. Now every day we have WhatsApp, we have message sending facility, we have emails, this and that. But I'm from that era where we used to write letters. So we have forces letters which are issued. And I would like to also mention Padam Pani Acharya, who is from Hyderabad, who was also incidentally belonging to 2nd Rajrif, that is Rajputana Rifles. I will be showing one letter written by him to his home. So there are several letters which are written by most of the martyrs, and there is a collection. So Suresh, I would like to gift you.
Thank you, sir.
This particular book.
Thank you very much.
You can open it. And it's a sort of a collection of letters written by most of the soldiers before they went on the operation, including the martyrs like Vikram Batra, Kadampani, Acharya, then other soldiers. Yeah.
And I think the Diksha letters from Kargil,
Yes.
war through the soldiers' eyes.
Yes. So I personally feel that this should be read by each and everyone.
Thank you very much, sir. I will surely do that, sir.
In this book, Suresh, there is a letter I was talking about Captain Nebu. And Nebu is not his correct name. It's a nickname or a family name. And fondly, the family used to call him Nebu. And he was posted in 2nd Rajrif. There, 2nd Rajrif has got most of the Rajput Jawans and Jat Jawans. And it was difficult for them to spell this Nebu. So most of the soldiers very fondly used to call Nimbu Sahab. So this Nimbu Sahab has written a letter to his brother. I will not read the complete letter, but some excerpts of that, which I would like to read out. My dear brother, I have not informed regarding the war to the parents because they will be worried. In case it is God's will that I have to close my eyes in this place, please take care of dad and mom. They should be made to understand that I have been taken from this life to another better life. Take care of our brothers and sisters. Be an example to them. None of you should feel sad, and all of you, please forgive me if I have done something wrong. Yours loving brother, Nebu.
Very touching. Very touching.
Very touching. See, in the thick of the war, knowing fully well that, as I said, that the commanding officer, when he was going to send this party, he was very clear in his mind that out of 10 soldiers, only 2 will return back alive. So in this situation, Captain Nebu was sent to the war front. Let me give a little narrative how Captain Nebu and his party got inducted into the war zone. They were to replace 18 grenadiers, one of the infantry unit, who fought very bravely during the initial phase, which was the toughest phase of the complete Kargil war, because they were the first one to advance into the hell created by Pakistan. I would definitely say it's a hell because it was like hell. And from 22nd May to 13th June, this unit, that is 18 grenadiers I'm talking about, fought very bravely. And they were trying to get the route up to the Tololing area. And in the bargain, the unit suffered heavy casualties. 66 men either martyred or wounded, gravely wounded, which included 2 officers, 2 JCOs, and 21 soldiers martyred. So this was the situation which Captain Nebu was to handle. Relieve 18 grenadiers and replace 18 grenadiers with his kind of a team. Captain Nebu was a Ghatak platoon commander. Let me tell about Ghatak. Ghatak is something like the commando in a unit. So that's the reason why this particular team was selected. And on 28th of June, there is a place called as Black Rock. It was a icy height in the Dras sector. There were about 7 Pakistani bunkers which they had to neutralize, because had they not done, the advance was impossible. And this was the task given to Captain Nebu and his team. So when he advanced with his team, and when he was very close to the first bunker, as a leader, he was leading from the front, a grenade was lobbed at him and he was injured. But he did not lose his calm, and he kept on fighting without even expressing that he is wounded. And he blasted that particular bunker. Let me tell you about, along with the personal weapons, the unit, that is this party, was also carried one rocket launcher. Suresh, rocket launcher, taking rocket launcher which is about 8 to 10 feet and very heavy, they had to go up the hill with this almost 200 plus kgs of weight along with the ammunition. So he decided to blast that bunker with the rocket launcher, which he successfully did. And bunkers after bunkers, he was clearing them. And finally, the end objective was there was a machine gun which was at the highest position, which they wanted to neutralize, because that machine gun has a very long range and that machine gun had to be silenced. So when the complete party, they came very close to this bunker where there was machine gun, there was almost a vertical wall. And I will like to show in the view foil how that vertical wall would look in Kargil sector. People will appreciate, the viewers will definitely appreciate. So Captain Nembu had no option than to climb this vertical wall, because on the top of that there were 3 bunkers including this machine gun. So this young officer, he said, I am going to lead, and he started negotiating that vertical wall, and he slipped twice or thrice. Then he realized, but what I am talking about is the height of 16,000 feet.
Wow.
And the temperature was minus 10 degrees. He realized that because of the shoes he was wearing, he was not getting the grip. At that cold minus 10 degrees temperature, this young officer decided to remove his shoes, and he climbed the vertical wall. And when he went on the top, 2 Pakistani soldiers charged on him. He tackled them. Not only tackled them, he took out his commando dagger and killed them. And let me tell you that the question which generally must be coming to the viewer's mind is that, are they not afraid? This is where what is called as the battle inoculation. During the operation, during the thick of the operation, you get baptized. Okay. And the young soldiers or young officers who had gone on this mission and who luckily returned back alive, they said that that time when we get baptized in that battle situation, fear doesn't touch you. The only thought is to charge on the enemy and kill the enemy. And that's the reason why he killed those Pakistani soldiers with his hand. And when he was moving towards the machine gun bunker, unfortunately, bullets started raining on him. And from that height, Captain Nembu, he fell down 100 feet down and was martyred. But the complete team that carried out the mission, they silenced all the 7 bunkers, including the machine gun. And as it happens, after the bunkers are cleared, the complete men, they came together. They stood exactly at the spot where Nembu fell down, and they looked down in the darkness towards expecting where the Captain Sahab had fallen down. And everybody in one voice said, "Ye aapki jeet hai, Nembu Sahab, ye aapki jeet hai."
Amazing.
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 And Suresh, this particular Kargil war, it was fought with bayonets, bare hand and bravery. But when it comes to Captain Kengurse, I would say he added the 4th dimension. He fought this war with bayonet, bare hand, bare feet, and with bravery. That's why this particular entire operation, the unit, it calls that it was the battle of Captain Nembu Kengurse. To Raj Sharif dedicated the victory to this young brave officer. And mind you, he was not commissioned into Raj Sharif. He was actually commissioned into supply corps, Army Supply Corps. And for initial first 2 years, these officers, they also do attachment with the infantry unit, and he was doing attachment with them.
Technically, he was not a armed soldier.
He was not an infantry soldier, technically.
I think it's pure bravery, isn't it?
Pure bravery. And as I had earlier mentioned, the second Rajrif had done a commanding job. The unit, there were so many brave officers. Major Vivek Gupta, he was awarded the second highest gallantry award, that is Mahavir Chakra, posthumously. Major Padampani Acharya, again from the same unit, again posthumously Mahavir Chakra. Captain Nebu, whom I just described, again Mahavir Chakra. 3 officers of the unit in the same operation getting the second highest gallantry award. In addition to that, Subedar Bhavarlal, he was awarded Veer Chakra, and only one officer who returned back alive, that is Captain Praveen Tomar, he was awarded Sena Medal. So this is how the decorated unit
I think
is.
the Kargil war, in a way, was a war of denial by Pakistan. Pakistan always kept saying that it is not our soldiers, these are irregulars. I think the tradition of the Indian Army not to leave behind anyone, that they will get the person no matter what. It's Captain Kalia, Vijayan Thapar, others. Everybody was brought back, and it was at 56 days to get some of the bodies back. Whereas the Pakistanis refused to take their, the ones who passed away, ones who died, and it's the Indian Army which had to bury them in a complete denial. Why do you think this? I mean, the army is an army, isn't it? Why is the Pakistan army so different from, say, an Indian army?
Firstly, from the behavior of the Pakistani soldiers, all the wars which they fought with India, and the treachery in Bangladesh before Bangladesh was liberated, I don't say that it is a professional army. We have given them the most respect a soldier actually deserves, whether dead or alive. But Pakistanis never do that. They are not a professional army at all. We have given, when they refuse to take their men back, and we are very clearly knowing that they are not civilians, they are not terrorists, they are regular army jawans, because every army jawan, whether Indian or Pakistani, he carries a badge in his pocket. So when the dead body is searched, we found several dead bodies having those badges in them. So goes to prove that they are the regulars from the Pakistani army. And they refuse to take their own army men. Since you asked this question, I would like to cite one of my icon, that is Field Marshal Manekshaw.
His movie is coming up.
Movie is coming up. When 93,000 soldiers,
POWs.
yes, were POWs, Manekshaw personally visited whether they are taken care correctly or not. So there is the leader of the Jawans is called Subedar Major. Like the commanding officer is a unit commanding, but the most senior most is called as Subedar Major. So Field Marshal Manekshaw met him. He saab, sab theek hai. That Pakistani Subedar Major said, कि साहब अब मुझे मालूम हुआ कि क्यों पाकिस्तान हारा और क्यों आप लोग जीते. आप एक फील्ड मार्शल है, आप एक फील्ड मार्शल है, आप एक सूबेदार मेजर को पूछ रहे कि साहब सब कुछ ठीक ठाक है. हमारे अफसर तो पूछते तक नहीं साहब हमारे को. आप हमको पूछ रहे कि क्या मच्छरदानी में सो रहे हो, क्या खाना मिल रहा है, क्या आपके बेड में खटमल तो नहीं है, कि साहब आपके जवान ज़मीन पे सो रहे और हमको चारपाई दी है. एंड जस्ट वन मोर इंसिडेंट इफ द टाइम परमिट्स.
No problem. Carry on, sir.
Field Marshal went to Pakistan in the negotiations when the war was over for negotiating. The chief of the army staff over there, he requested Field Marshal Manekshaw that there are few civilians who are standing outside who would like to meet you and shake hands with you. So as he was shaking hand with each one of them took out his pagdi, a Pakistani civilian, took out his pagdi and put his on the feet of Field Marshal. He said, "Saab, kar kya rahe ho aap ye?" So that gentleman said, "Ki saab, mere 6 bacche आपके prisoner of war है, उनके लेटर्स आते हैं कि हमें ठीक ठाक यहाँ पे देखभाल हो रही है, कि साहब आप जैसे अफसर नहीं होते तो शायद मेरे बच्चे मारे जाते." This is the quality of the
And we
Indian
even
Army.
sent them back
And we sent them back.
without even asking for any other deal.
Nothing in exchange.
People said that was a mistake, but it was a political decision
Yes.
to send them back 19,000 soldiers, POWs, that we had with us during the East Pakistan War.
Yes.
Colonel Gogte, I know you're getting emotional talking about all this, rightly so, because even I'm feeling so. But when it happens to a soldier, he passes away, but his family still has to lead their lives like it just. So be it Padampani Acharya or Vijayan Thapa's parents or Kalia's parents or even Nimbu Saab's family. I remember that beautiful scene where his casket was being carried to his village.
Yes.
How is the family taken care of?
Very touchy question, Suresh. Let's be you, and for the viewers, let's be a part of a martyr's family for few moments, just to understand what the family must be going through. There are n number of examples I can cite, but let me quote one of the Kargil war experience. Very briefly, I would like to mention about Major C.B. Dwivedi, an artillery officer who was martyred in the Kargil war. He left behind his wife and 2 daughters when this unfortunate thing happened. He was belonging to 315 Field Regiment, and 315 Field Regiment was the the initial artillery regiments which got inducted into the war zones. So after the war, for this particular regiment doing so well in the war, the Chief of Army Staff has given a kind of a title to this particular battalion, 315 Field Regiment, Kargil. So the officer belonging to this particular unit was Major Dwivedi. Major Dwivedi on 12th of May 1999 had, it was a vacation day. The war had not, the initial phases of war also not known to everybody. So he called his family towards the Srinagar side to spend some time with them. This happened on 12th of May. And 13th, barely the family was together for maybe 12 hours. He got orders that you have to move to the war zone. So those 12 hours he could spend with the family, and the family had to come back. So Mrs. Dwivedi decided that since we have to come back, that she had taken the children, that is her 2 daughters, to Siliguri to spend time with some of her relatives there. And off and on, Major Dwivedi used to send letters. And in those letters, like Nebu, the concern was more toward the family and less towards him, always saying that I am fine and everything is fine here and will come back very soon. Just to narrate, on somewhere in July, probably 2nd of July, this incident happened. Just to give a background, an artillery regiment is supporting to the infantry which marches forward. So the role of the artillery is that when the enemy is well entrenched, the artillery units, they fire shells to weaken those defenses, and then only the infantry can march forward. Or when the infantry is almost in the battle zone or very close to the enemy, and the enemy is having an upper hand, that's the time the artillery unit is asked the support, and they fire the shells onto the enemy. The Dras sector, where Major Dwivedi was, the artillery guns the technique of these artillery guns is that they are supposed to fire and move the gun to a different location. The reason I tell you that the enemy who was sitting on top of the hill, they can visualize where the gun location is from the shells which are coming towards them. And once the location is decided, they can counter-fire their artillery and take your guns.
They get the coordinates.
Yes, they get the coordinates.
So for a layman, just when you say infantry and artillery, the Bofors gun would be a good example
Absolutely.
to give. I know that's one of them, but there are a lot of other pieces of in artillery that are fired.
Yes.
But carry on.
Yeah.
Major Colonel.
So Major Dwivedi was supporting two infantry units who were actually in the thick of the battle, and they required the artillery support very badly because the enemy was taking them hands down. 18 grenadiers and 8 Sikh, they were the two units Major Dwivedi was supporting. And he was continuously firing at them, knowing fully well that the Pakis will identify his location and his gun also will get targeted. But when he was in the radio communication, he was coming to know that the unit required his help. There were only two options with him. One, to fire, wait for a long time, and then fire again. Or to move the guns to a different location. But he was not having that much time because he wanted to save every soldier of this 18 grenadiers and 8 Sikh. So he decided the difficult option, not to stop, but continuously fire, even at the risk that his gun will get identified. And unfortunately, the same thing happened. A shell fell very close to him, and he was very grievously wounded. But in that situation also, he kept on giving orders for his men to keep firing. And ultimately, the unfortunate happened. And during this time, the complete family, Mrs. Dwivedi and two daughters, they were in Siliguri. And when they returned back, on the day when his body was to be flown back, they were not aware of that. They were regularly getting letters from Major Dwivedi and hoping against the hell that he is alive and he is hearty. When they reached New Delhi from Siliguri, Mrs. Dwivedi's brother, who was also in the army that time, he came to receive them. He took them home and he disclosed the sad news. And it really touches me. The family was given a special aircraft to take the mortal remains of Major Dwivedi from Delhi to Patna because they were belonging to Patna. 4 of them, that is the Mrs. Dwivedi, Neha, 10-year-old elder daughter, Diksha, 8-year-old, and mortal remains of Major Dwivedi wrapped in the national flag. As a family, for the last time, they were traveling together. And Suresh,
I think
for the first time,
you're going
time,
emotional.
I know, for the first time, the responsibility of taking Major Dwivedi home was that of the 3 ladies. So that is how the family's contribution.
In fact, the book which you gave me has a name on it.
Yes. Diksha Dwivedi.
That's the daughter.
The younger daughter.
Younger daughter.
Yeah.
She's grown up now.
She has compiled. There are a lot many letters, including the letter written by Major Padampani Acharya and Captain Nebu also.
Viewers, those of you who are watching this program on the 7th of December would have taken the Armed Forces Flag Day as just another day. But hearing these stories that are coming in from Colonel Gogte, we feel and we should have a responsibility towards the families of these brave men and women. Of course, their pensions are there, their salaries will be paid till the last day they retire. All those things will be taken care of. But there's something beyond it. Many people will say, okay, I can contribute to Armed Forces Special Day. So how should I do it? Okay, there is a website, you can go and contribute. All those things are there. We will run that in the description of this YouTube channel. But more than that, one should understand what a soldier goes through. And again, when I say soldier, it doesn't mean army, it means Air Force, it means Navy, it means everybody. That is very important. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what makes our army a different kind of team that performs on the field, regardless of their personal safety. And on the portals of the Chetwood Hall and IMA are those famous words that are there, that your safety comes last. I think that is the most important thing. Col Umesh Gogte, is there anything? I know you're a poet, you write a lot. Is there something that you would like to conclude this with?
Yeah, before concluding, I would like to mention that we soldiers and our families, we are not expecting the money which is being contributed. Army and our units, they take care of us very well. But what we want is on that day, if you show solidarity with us, if you contribute whatever you can, that gives us a feeling that everybody for whom we are fighting are also with us. That particular solidarity we want. So it's a humble request to all the viewers that they should definitely step out on 7th. Of course, we'll show you the link on which they can directly send their contribution, which is exempted from the income tax. That is under ATG, one of the section of ATG, it comes under that. So I would like to conclude this by giving a Shraddhanjali by saying, कहीं किसी आंगन का दीपक बुझ गया है, कहीं किसी आंगन का दीपक बुझ गया है, तभी भारत का हर आंगन जगमगाया है। शहीदों के साहस पे श्रद्धांजलि पूर्ण नतमस्तक हो जाना, शहीदों के साहस पे श्रद्धांजलि पूर्वक नतमस्तक हो जाना, आज एक श्रद्धांजलि दीपक उस बहादुर के नाम ज़रूर जलाना, आज एक श्रद्धांजलि दीपक उस बहादुर के नाम ज़रूर जलाना. Suresh, we also, I think,
we should do that. In fact, appeal to every one of our viewers to light a lamp on the 7th of December in honor of the fallen soldiers, their families, and of course, the disabled and the veterans of the Indian Armed Forces. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching this. But before that, we would conclude with the famous inverted gun, which shows a fallen soldier, which reflects a fallen soldier.
yes.
And Col Umesh Gogte, thank you very much for being a part of this.
Thank you so
I
much.
know you're getting really emotional. I know that comes from the heart.
Yeah.
That is why. And I'm sure many young men and women watching this telecast will feel that they should also join the Indian Armed Forces and live that life which Col Umesh Gogte spoke about. A life which you can put aside for your motherland. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching this. Namaste.
Jai Hind.
Jai Hind, Colonel.
Please subscribe to Nationalist Hub English channel for more interesting videos, and don't forget to like and share this video. Nationalist Hub, it's a news revolution.